Joining us from here this Monday, the 12th day of June 2023. Welcome to our midday bulletin, Pan-African News Live here on Pan-African Television with yours sincerely, Alormasor. Now, coming up, we shall be looking at the National Democratic Congress's European Chapter Conference, where President Mahama has promised Ghanaians that he is going to return the country to economic recovery if elected into office. Also, we know for a fact that the office of the Special Prosecutor has stated quite emphatically that it won't allow politicians to use their office to settle personal scores. Then we shall be looking at a very interesting story where a landlady has ejected some 16 tenants illegally. Well, we've got these stories including business, international, sports and lifestyle coming to you live on the news in the next 60 minutes. Do stay. Many thanks for your time. This bulletin is live across some 46 South African countries via satellite, in some parts of Europe and of course Southern America on Facebook. Join us at facebook.com/Pan-African Television. My name is Alormasor. Now to the details of our stories. Flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has strongly dismissed suggestions that the opposition party and the ruling New Patriotic Party are alike. Speaking at the NDC's European Chapter Conference in Amsterdam over the weekend, the former president disclosed that negligence contributed to the NDC's failure to win the 2020 elections and expressed optimism that the NDC would win the election in 2024 without going to the Supreme Court. This more.
As leader and flag bearer, I offer my firm pledge and assurance that I will work with the party's leadership, represented here today by the General Secretary, to build a formidable team and deploy strategies and mechanisms to ensure that we protect the votes of the teeming mass of Ghanaians who have determined to vote for us in 2024. These Ghanaians are yearning to be freed from the shackles of poverty and hardship that has been inflicted on them by the reckless and clueless Bawumia administration. These Ghanaians are yearning to be freed from the shackles of poverty and hardship inflicted on them by the reckless and clueless Bawumia administration. Most Ghanaians are ready to work with us to build the Ghana we all want together. When I spoke at the commemoration of the 44th anniversary of the June 4 uprising in Hohoe last Sunday, I likened the 2024 elections to a peaceful and democratic revolution, which will free our country and our people from the clutches of misrule from a mediocre, reckless, and incompetent government. What we are gathered here to do is a declaration of our intent by those of us here in the diaspora to join up with the broad masses of Ghanaians in the collective push to dislodge this administration through peaceful, free, and fair elections in 2024. This is an absolute national imperative, and we cannot and must not fail the people of Ghana. It has been 7 years of corruption, 7 years of waste, 7 years of arrogance, 7 years of impunity, and 7 years of nepotism, 7 years of abuse of office, 7 years of human rights violation, and worst of all, 7 years of economic mismanagement. Seven years of economic reckless management of the economy has rendered our people broken and struggling from one day to the other just to survive. The Ghanaian economy is now classified amongst the worst managed in the world, and we're currently in the same basket as countries like Sri Lanka. Ghana, our beloved country. Ghana, Nkrumah's country. Inflation is at a record high, impacting the prices of essential goods and services and escalating an already severe cost of living crisis. Our currency, the Ghanaian cedi, has suffered one of its steepest declines in decades, and a few months ago was considered one of the worst performing currencies in the world.
Now, still on the former President John Dramani Mahama, he has further assured Ghanaians of deploying great steps in rescuing them from what he describes as the reckless mismanagement of the economy by the New Patriotic Party this morning.
It is therefore our duty to rededicate ourselves to work with absolute commitment in our branches to ensure the maximum votes to guarantee a very resounding victory in 2024. I want to repeat that we must go to the polls on December 7th, 2024 with our own referee. That referee will be our diligence, our alertedness, our preparedness, and winning the election emphatically, I insist. Our 2020 election comeback, raising the number of our seats from 106 to 137, and increasing our votes by almost 1.4 million votes, resulted from the dedication and hard work of all of us and the support of the people of Ghana. Ghanaians have seen the difference and believe in our message, which in 2020 was conveyed by our People's Manifesto. Comrades, we did not become the majority party in Parliament. We were also not declared the winners of the 2020 presidential elections, because we left some loose ends untied in what was a bizarre election during the COVID restrictions and the economic meltdown of 2020. And that is why in 2024, we must rededicate ourselves to make our victory emphatic. As I have said before, we do not believe in going to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is going to be at the polling stations and the collation centers.
Now, from former President John Dramani Mahama, let's proceed to the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. He has touted some achievements by the Kufuor-led administration in the various sectors of the economy. Speaking at the party's International Women's Conference in the United Kingdom, the Vice President disclosed that amidst the various challenges, government is able to attain a GDP growth of 4.9% in 2017 and 2018, comparing the current government's economic performance to that of the Eswa John Mahama administration. Dr. Bawumia says his government has performed better than the previous administration. There's more.
And Ukraine between 2017 and 2022, the average growth in Ghana, GDP growth, is 4.9%. Even with 2013 to 2016, the average growth without COVID, without Russia and Ukraine, was 3.9%. For us, with COVID, with Russia and Ukraine, and all the challenges, it's 4.9%. So, notwithstanding the global economic crisis, economic growth under our government is stronger than what we inherited. Then we had a problem of declining agricultural production. Then you look at the data. Between 2013 and 2016, the agricultural growth averaged 2.9%. You look at with COVID, with Russia, Ukraine, and all the challenges between 2017 and 2022, our agricultural growth is 6% on average. That is double what was there before. Double. And you see in yields significant increases. Both maize production has gone up from 1.8 metric tons per hectare to 4 metric tons per hectare between 2016 and 2022. And similarly, rise from 2.7 metric tons per hectare to 4.5 metric tons per hectare. And you see it across. So, notwithstanding the economic challenges, we've done better in overall growth, we've done better in agricultural growth. We have, number 3, we had a declining and weak industrial growth before we came into office. And if you look at 2013 to 2016, industry growth in Ghana was 3.3%. For us, with COVID, with Russia, Ukraine, and all the challenges, today, industry growth on average between 2017 and 2022 is 4.85%. So we are doing better, notwithstanding the challenge. Of course, if you took away Russia, Ukraine, and all of that, we're doing much better before. So again, we are doing much better in this area. We've done new things. We never had a foundry and machine tooling center in Ghana. We have since established and operationalized the first ever foundry and machine tooling center at the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission facility. You need this for industrialization. You look at numbers 5, bank lending rates. When we came into office, the average bank lending rate between 2013 and 2016 was 28%. High bank lending rates. With COVID, with all the economic challenges we have, the average bank lending rate between 2017 and 2022 is 24%. Lower than what we inherited. Then you have the trade balance, the difference between our exports and our imports. We have a negative trade balance for almost 30 years in Ghana. But since we came into office, we've had a positive trade balance for 6 years in a row, consecutive years. 30 years of negative trade balance and 6 years of positive trade balance. And this is the first time this has happened in 30 years. Even when you look at the massive exchange rate depreciation that has taken place, you look at the span whether the NEC was in office between 2008 and 2016, the cedi depreciated by 72%. And they did not face the crisis that we face globally. And when you look at the depreciation of the cedi, including the crisis, that we saw last year, under the NEC, it was 72%. For us, it is 62%. That's why. And the city is so notwithstanding all these challenges.
Now let's move away from the camp of the Vice President. Let's go to the camp of the Special Prosecutor. Now, the Special Prosecutor, Kisija Bing, says his office is not a weapon used for settling scores. He added that the OSP does not settle scores on behalf of people. According to him, he does not fear political interference because no one will dare it. He, however, stated that what he feared was the likely interference of chiefs and religious leaders this month.
How much money is attracted towards
something. He said, I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. I was talking as a person for myself and the institution I had. I do not fear political interference because no one would dare it with me. And having a president who is a first-rate lawyer, having an attorney general who is a first-rate lawyer, they wouldn't even try it. I said that. All words to that effect during my vetting. And I knew where my Achilles heel may come from. And that's one I admitted to Parliament and to the public that what I feared most was interference or likely interference from chiefs, likely interference from pastors and religious persons. These were the kind of interferences that I feared. I knew. I'm a traditional man myself. I could be chief of my my town. And if the overlord of Kwahu, if the Kwahu invites me to show up at a Benin on a Saturday morning, especially when it is Dapa, who am I to say I won't show up on the traditional level? Who am I to show up to say I won't show up? And if the Kwahu tells me that our nephew, this matter and that matter, and there they are pouring libation and all that, and you are also a traditional man, you're sitting there. Those are the kind of incantations that I could be afraid of.
You're still watching our midday bulletin Pan-African News live here on Pan-African Television with me, Alormasor. So let's go for a short breather. Once we return, there's a lot more stories that we have for you to stay.
Hello, information. But ask. Me, I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much, had I?
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I didn't call you. I just visited IPCP. What the engineers told me everything about Trasacco fast floor.
Trawanko, please, those people are expensive. Are they not the people building those big houses in town? I beg those guys.
Madam, in fact, I used to think the same until I visited their office today, and they gave me an estimate of how much it will cost. Jomo, the estimate is free. It's cheaper than the one I even sent you.
Wow.
Building contractors, foremen, masons. Visit IPCP, the Trasacco Fast Floor. Engineers will assist you build an affordable, faster and stronger building.
Oh, madam. It is done.
Wow.
Trasacco Fast Floor. Stronger, faster and affordable.
This is a Trasacco construction product.
Trasacco Estates, home to Accra's most beautiful and luxurious homes, presents its newest addition, Trasacco Springs, a premium master planned community of service plots surrounded by an exhaustive list of amenities. The gated community of Tema to Accra Motorway presents you the finest opportunity to own a land that suits your preferred size, budget and payment terms. Trasacco Springs is open to you for development. Our on-site sales executives are ready. Call.
Hello. What are you doing Tuesday to Friday, 7:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. every day? You should be watching The Couch. I'll tell you why. On Tuesdays, we talk social issues, lifestyle health, all those everyday issues that affect us in the big ways. Late Wednesdays are for book reviews. Thursdays are for the hard talk, those socio-economic, policy-oriented, political questions that demand for the tough questions to be asked. And personality profiling Fridays, when we get to know the stories behind the winning personalities we love. Inspirational story from inspirational personalities. Hey, listen, you really cannot miss The Couch with me, Amma, but still the only TV show with a hat. In previous seasons, you saw this.
Welcome back from that short breather. Still our midday bulletin, Pan-African News live here on Pan-African Television. Now to some more stories. The Member of Parliament for Tamale North Constituency, Alasan Suini, says the Green Ghana initiative needs clear-cut mechanisms to enable proper tracking of its progress. The lawmaker revealed that the country had spent close to 500 million Ghana cedis on national afforestation programs in the last 5 years, but the level of devastation to the forest was high. He again added that the lands minister had said that 4.89 million trees were planted in 2021, but the president, a few weeks after the minister's announcement, said that 7 million trees had been planted, and this did not sit well with him. This more.
How much money is attracted towards supporting programs and projects meant to deal with climate change, mitigations and adaptation. And the concerns are basically because of how much money is going there and how less anti-corruption strategies and measures are put in place in the utilization of those funds. And so as a country, there's a need for us to be concerned. I mean, over the last 5 or so years, if you look at our budget statements that have been presented in Parliament over the years, government has so far spent almost 500 million, half a billion Ghana cedis on national afforestation programs in the country. They are budgeted, let me say, for almost 500 million Ghana cedis on national afforestation programs. But you and I know that the level of devastation to our forest is on the ascendancy. So there's a need for us to ask ourselves the hard question of what we are getting for how much we are putting into projects aimed at protecting our forest and improving the forest cover in the country, when the records show that there is a high rate of depletion of our forest. And so this Green Ghana program, like I stated on the floor of the House, in my view, is well intended. It is aimed at improving the forest cover in the country. And year in, year out, monies are allocated to it. We are told the number of trees that are planted without any clear-cut mechanism to determine if indeed the numbers that are churned out are the numbers that are really being, planted on the ground. We are told of percentage of performance, and you do not know the criteria that is used to determine the percentage of success when it comes to how well the planted trees are doing. A way of giving confidence to people that this is a government that is really committed to improving the forest cover of this country is for them to declassify. I mean, to change their position on the declassification of the Achimota forest. And I have been on this matter. And the only way the president can prove to us that he means well when it comes to the protection of our forest is to change his position on the Achimota forest. So looking at the Green Ghana project in the manner that it is couched now, we think that a lot of improvement can still be brought about for all of us to get the benefits of the program. And that is why we are raising some of these concerns. Clearly, as things stand now, the measures, anti-corruption measures especially, that should put all of us at ease that this program is delivering to meet the expectations of well-meaning Ghanaians is not there.
Away from that, a landlady identified as Comfort Ano has illegally ejected about 16 tenants from her apartment at Hacho, here in Accra. The landlady, who lives outside the country, according to sources, accused caretakers of the property, Isaac Jomo, of mismanaging funds, as well as selling some other properties belonging to her, a situation that angered her to eject the tenants occupying her apartment. This more.
African News, some affected tenants who have been rendered homeless explained that the issue was reported to the Rent Control Department for settlement. According to them, the Rent Control Department, after inviting the parties involved, asked Madam Comfort Ano not to eject them until the end of September. But Madam Comfort Ano, who is unhappy with the verdict by the Rent Control Department on Saturday, June 10, 2023, took off the roof of the building in registering her disagreement with the terms of settlement. This, the tenant says, has forced them to vacate the apartment, a situation that currently renders them homeless.
Yes, madam, so you come, just look at a house that people are living inside. Then you just came in, you came to remove the roofing, you came to spoil the windows, you came to remove the doors. Even our rent is not even due. Me like this, I paid my rent in October. It's supposed to be due by the end of this year. But when we were having the issues, we went to rent control. The rent control gave us up to September. They told us to allow us to stay till September. We are in June, and look at what she has come to do. Look at what they just look at how our rooms that people, some of us have children. Some of us have children. Look at the rooms. Look at what they've done. When it rains, the water will come. Anything you have in the room, it will spoil. Everything is so dismantled. Look at our windows. Everything. They spoiled everything. We went to rent control. When they told her to give us up to September, she didn't even oblige by the rule. We went to the station, to the police. People didn't help her. They are those who are even annoying me the most. They are annoying me the most because they are telling us that the money we paid, we didn't pay to the woman. We paid it to a caretaker. And if somebody who has gone to school, anybody who has gone to school knows that for you to have a caretaker, then the owner of the house must be aware that there is somebody, the house has been given to somebody. So if you have given your house to somebody, anybody who comes, that person is acting on your behalf. So if I give my money to the caretaker and today you are here to tell me that I didn't give the money to you, does it make sense? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? So she said because we gave the money to the caretaker, we didn't give the money to her. I don't know. Police sent me on boy one day. I'm not rent control for Atinasu. I don't know where else.
So right now I'm frustrated. I don't know what to do. As you can see, I'm just trying to get some place to shop for the moment, and I don't know what to do. I don't have any option than to move on. So and that lady is claiming she has control over everything because the house is for her. So nothing. Yeah, right now I'm frustrated, very worried, and we don't know what to do. It's about to rain, but we don't have any option than to just bring our things out. The landlady is saying it's not rent control that gave her the opportunity to, let me say, give the room. Yeah, right now I'm frustrated, very worried, and we don't know what to do. It's about to rain, but we don't have any option than to just bring our things out. The landlady is saying it's not rent control that gave her the opportunity to, let me say, give the room.
Tenants in this particular story, where a landlady has actually ejected 16 tenants who occupy her residence in Hacho. And the matter, I understand, has been taken to the rent control department to look into it. But then they have advised the woman to give these tenants up to September before they move to find a place. If Madam Comfort can hear me. Good afternoon, Madam, if you can hear me. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
You're right. Madam Dede, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Right, many thanks for joining us. I understand you are one of the affected victims in this particular ousting. And I want to find out from you, did you receive any prior notice that this was going to happen?
No, please. No, please, I didn't. We didn't receive any prior notice. We were just there on Saturday, and then we saw that some guys just walked in, a lot of them, about 10 of them, they just climbed the roofing, and then one of them, who appears to be the elderly one, I think he was in a uniform, but not a prescribed uniform that we saw whether an army or a police officer. And then he just called that all the tenants in the house should come out, and then we came out, and they just climbed and they started destroying the roofing. So we were asking him what was happening. He was like, the landlady is coming to claim her house, and we didn't pay any money to the landlady, so she just get out of the house. And we said, we don't understand what is happening. You didn't give us any foul notice. We have things in the room. We have not locked our room, and you are removing the roofing. You are taking off our doors, our windows, without any prior information. So if that is the case, we should go to the police station. And he was like, okay, let's all gather outside and go to the station. So one of our tenants, who apparently had an issue with the landlady already, who has a case at the station, the Western Police Station, called the CID, who was sitting on our case. And the CID said he was coming. So I thought with the tenant plus the guys who came to the house, the one who called us to come out, we were all standing outside waiting for the police. And so the police arrived. But after the time the police arrived, they had already taken off the roofing, they are taking off the doors, they are taking off all the windows of the tenants. And that was really what happened. So when they came, they marched us to the station, and we had to listen to them. So the police was like, the house belonged to the tenants, and although we received an initial information from the landlady, a letter which was not signed, and she told us the letter was coming from rent control. We came to rent control, and rent control said the letter was not from rent control because there was no letterhead, there was no signature. So that letter, we didn't go by it. And then we were still following on the case. We came to rent control, and we were given up to September, which the woman was there, Madam Comfortamu was there, when they gave the verdict that she should allow us to stay till September. But apparently, she said she would be traveling. She didn't have the time. She wants to do renovation. And we didn't understand, if you even want to do renovation on your house, must you just take the law in your hands and do whatever you like? Must you just destroy our roofing, destroy our doors, our windows? As I'm talking to you right now, yesterday we all slept in the mosquitoes. Some of us had to sleep in the room like that. There was no door.
Right, Madam Dede, let me find out from you, if you may. The story identifies one Isaac Jomo, who is the caretaker of the property. I want to know whether you dealt with Isaac Jomo or you dealt directly with the landlady with regards to your tenancy. Did you pay your rent to Isaac Jomo, or you paid your rent to, Madam Comfortano?
Please, I paid my money to Isaac Jomo, who I know is the caretaker of the place.
Well, so did you make the rent control aware of the fact that there was a middleman, or there was a middle party that you had to deal with, and not directly with Madam Comfort?
Yes, please, we did. We told them. We even took our tenancy agreement, because we had a tenancy agreement from the Isaac Jomo. So we took our tenancy agreement forms to the rent control. We showed it to them. But according to what we were told, they said that Isaac Jomo was convicted, and the woman told that he is at the CID headquarters. If you want to see him, we should go there. But we also know that by law, if something like this happens and you arrest the victim, at least he should have come for identification, or the police should have sent us, we the tenants, a notification that the so-and-so person has been arrested. So we should come and identify him, so that if we also have a problem with him, they could have at least claimed our money for us. Then we could also go and look for a place but you are not ready to give us our money. And you say we should evict your house. If our problem is, if Madam Comfort says that the house is for her, and Isaac, she says she does not know the Isaac. How did Isaac get access to the house? For 4 years. For 4 years he has been there. We have tenants who have been in the house. This is their 4th year, and they have all been paying the money to the Isaac Jomo.
Right. So, are you looking at exploring other avenues to seek redress? Perhaps, do you intend to report this particular issue to the Ghana Police Service?
Yes, please. Yes, please. This is exactly what we want to do, because honestly, we've been to rent control, we've been to the Westland police station, and when we go there, I was so surprised at how the police really treated us. They told us that the house belongs to the woman, so if we have paid the money to a caretaker, the caretaker is not the owner of the place. So if the woman has come and she wants us to move, the only thing we can do is to beg her, and that really surprised us. It surprised us. So the police didn't help us at all. They didn't help us. They came and they were rather some of them were raising their voices at us that why should we get angry? The house belongs to the woman. Why should we get angry? And they were right there when our roofing was destroyed. When the doors, they saw it, but they didn't do anything about it.
Well, I understand that you've been given up to September to vacate the place. Is that the case? Or Madam Comfort is asking you to leave immediately?
According to rent control, they told us that we should stay there till September. They initially asked us to pay some money, but she threatened at the rent control right in front of the judge who was deciding over the case that she was not ready to wait till September because she had to return. She had to go back to wherever she came from, and she wants to do renovation. But the judge told us that if the woman lays her hands on the building, we should come and report back to her. And apparently the very day we came to the rent control, when we go home, it rained heavily. And that was when we realized the woman had already asked some guys to damage the roofing. And they damaged it. We came back to the rent control to report, and we were told to use the money that they asked us to pay to her to go and fix it. And we went back to fix the roofing. And this is the last time. Saturday was when she came to totally destroy everything again.
Right. Thank you very much, Madam Dede. We shall be connecting pretty shortly to the head of public relations at the rent control. He goes by the name Emmanuel Bosu. It is my fervent hope that we connect with him pretty shortly so that we can also take his side of this developing story. But this is it. The story is that the landlady identified as Comfort Ano, she has evicted 16 people who occupy her residence at Hacho here in Accra. It is understood that one caretaker who goes by the name Isaac Jomo has actually mismanaged funds as well as damaged and sold some properties belonging to the said Comfort Ano. And of course, the issue has angered her, and she has taken that unilateral decision to evict these women. It is understood that the rent control are in the known because the people, when they were ejected from the apartment, decided to take this issue to that regulatory body who sees or that sees to it that all these issues are addressed. And of course, the rent control, they actually gave the people up to September to vacate the residence. But Madam Comfort Ano was having none of that, and she has asked the people to leave her residence immediately, going to the very extent of ripping the roofing of the house, leaving them at the mercy of the weather and then of course mosquitoes. So this is the story. I'm hoping fervently that we get to connect to Emmanuel Hovi Bosu, who is the head of public relations at the rent control department. There are a couple of questions that we shall be asking him to ascertain the veracity or otherwise of what these tenants or the allegations that these tenants are making against Madam Comfort Ano and of course the rent control. Let's go for a short breather. Once we return, we shall be still dwelling on this particular story.
In previous seasons, he saw this.
You are not allowed to hawk or preach in commercial vehicles.
The perception in Ghana is abortion is illegal, and we don't follow up with the exceptions.
The existence of the customary marriage is no prerequisite for the ordinance marriage.
Yes. And now, are you ready for this?
Some people express the fact that they don't go on leave with pride.
Accumulated leave, like they term it, is illegal.
Because in Ghana we don't have enough lawyers, and the accused can apply for bail where he has no lawyer.
Knowing full well that you have an STI and you do not reveal that to the person and you have the sexual contact with the person, it is also part of domestic violence.
Join the Law Express panel for relevant, informative, and educative topics.
It is clear that if the court grants bail, it is the registrar of the court that has the power to deal with execution of the bail.
All matrimonial properties that are sold without the consent of the other party are actually null and void.
Information. Me, I have still not got the money for that list of expensive building materials you sent to me. The price of the iron rods have been increased too much, aren't they?
Madam, relax. Look, that's not why I did call you. I just visited IPCP, where the engineers told me everything about Trasacco fast floor.
Trawanko, please, those people are expensive. Are they not the people building those big houses in town? I beg go guys.
Madam, in fact, I used to think the same until I visited their office today. And they gave me an estimate of how much it will cost. Jomo, the estimate is free. It's cheaper than the one I even sent you.
Wow.
Building contractors, foremen, masons. Visit IPCP, the Trasacco Fast Floor. Engineers will assist you build an affordable, faster and stronger building.
Oh, madam. It is done.
Wow.
Trasacco.
Welcome back from that short breather, and we've been trying to reach the rent control, but all efforts have proven futile. They haven't been answering our calls. We shall try later in our evening bulletin to establish contact with them and ascertain more fact to that particular story about the 16 tenant who were illegally ejected from that residence. But let's proceed to business, where Anglo Gold Ashanti has pledged to deepen collaborations with its stakeholders to create a resilient and socio-economically self-sustaining community within Obuasi in the Ashanti region. There's more.
2022, Anglo Gold Ashanti launched a 10-year socio-economic development plan which encapsulates a clear strategy to ensure Obuasi mine and its host communities reap sustained benefit from the mining business. Its aim was to be a responsible steward of the environment in which it operates. The ore bodies entrusted by the host communities and the capital provided by the shareholders. The company which operates the Obuasi mine, one of the biggest in Africa, said the move is part of efforts aimed at achieving its 10-year socio-economic development plan. Senior Manager of Sustainability at Anglo Gold Ashanti, Obuasi Mine, Emmanuel Bedu, disclosed that his outfit will work around 3 pillars to diversify the local economy of Obuasi. Mr. Bedu said 3 pillars or 3 levels of outcomes have been identified, including improving cross-sectional partnership.
Right, to some more business news, government has recorded about 6.4% oversubscription of its Treasury Bills target of 2.63 billion, but an increase in cost. According to figures from the Bank of Ghana, interest rates surged for the 8th week running, raising concerns about the government's debt management strategy aimed at cutting Ghana's debt.
government has been borrowing heavily on the money market since the beginning of 2023, but at a higher cost. This is because it is the only source of borrowing. The rising interest rates are expected to keep high the domestic interest payment of the government. The figures from the Bank of Ghana indicated that the yield on the 91-day T-bill went up by 0.11% to 21.26%. That of the 182-day bill also shot up but marginally to 23.95% from 23.93% the previous week. The rate for the one-year bill was, however, 27.82%. Meanwhile, the government got about 2.80 billion Ghana cedis from the sale of short-term instruments. A little above 1.50 billion Ghana cedis was tendered for the 91-day bill, in which all was accepted. Similarly, about 982 million Ghana cedis were offered for the 6-month bill. All the bills were subsequently accepted. Again, the 308 million Ghana cedis tendered for the one-year bill were accepted.
Well, that's all we have for our business stories. Coming up next is some international news to stay. Well, on to some international updates from the People's Dispatch. On Thursday, June 8, the President of the French National Assembly, Yael Braun-Pivet, blocked proceedings on a bill proposed by the Liberties, Independent Overseas and Territories Lyot opposition group to repeal the controversial pension reforms enacted by the Emmanuel Macron government. Braun-Pivet is from Macron's party, the Renaissance RE. To dismiss the opposition bill in the National Assembly, she invoked Article 40 of the French Constitution, under which any proposal or amendments made by parliamentarians that would decrease revenue or increase public expenses are not permitted. This more.
The Lyot group subsequently withdrew the bill. A key clause in the bill against the increase in retirement age had already been struck down in a parliamentary committee. Outraged National Assembly members from the left-wing coalition, New Ecological and Social People's Union protested the move as an attack on democracy and resolved to continue the fight against pension reforms. They have also called for a motion of censure, no confidence motion against the government. The pension reforms were announced by French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne on January 10 and stipulated the phase raising of the retirement age from 62 to 64 at a rate of 3 months per year from September 1, 2023 until 2030. Additionally, workers would have to work for 43 years instead of the current 42 to get a full rate pension. On March 16, the government used the Emergency Provision Article 49.3 of the French Constitution to bypass final voting on the bill in the National Assembly and pass the 2023 Social Security Financing Adjustment Law amidst fierce opposition from the NUPS and the French working class. The government narrowly survived a no-confidence motion pushed by the opposition on March 20 over the bill. 2 requests by the opposition parties to conduct a referendum on raising the retirement age were also denied by the French Constitutional Council. The protests against the reform saw the massive mobilization of people across the country as millions marched against the reforms and observed national strikes for many days. On June 6, in the 14th round of mobilization, hundreds of thousands participated across the country. On multiple occasions, the government used security forces to quell the protests. The parliamentary debate on pension reforms have also witnessed the government abusing emergency provisions of the French Constitution to undemocratically push and defend their anti-worker pension reforms. On June 8, Elsa Fossilon, MP from the French Communist Party, tweeted that National Assembly President Yael Briand-Pivet prevents the vote against retirement at 64 and gags the will of the French and its representatives, bowing to Macron's bill. This government is destroying democracy. On June 9, in a statement, the General Confederation of Labour said that by failing to protect the rights of the opposition and by applying the orders of the LC in defiance of the independence of its function, she, Briand-Pivet, further weakens the democratic debate and the separation of powers. The Union Confederation added that it will continue the struggle for the withdrawal of reforms.
Many thanks to the People's Dispatch for our international updates. Coming up is sports. Let's do some football news where Mediama Sporting Club secured their first Ghana Premier League title following a resounding 3-0 victory over Tamale City at Akun Park on Sunday, June 11. A Jonathan Sowa's hat-trick was enough for Gaston Evans' Adote side to secure all 3 points and became champions of Ghana Top Flight for the first time in the club's history. Mediama SC had a tremendous campaign in the Ghana Premier League, winning 18 games, drawing 6 and 10 defeats. Decimal.
In anticipation of the real celebrations after the final whistle, draw or win and take the Premier League title for the very first time. It's just interesting that the sun is out just at the time of the game. Amwaku's delivery and T. Johnny makes light work of it. From Mediama. Good cross from Kojo Amwaku from the right hand side. Intelligent ball from Anoba to pick out Kojo Amwaku. He sends in the ball. Archiman is arriving at the first ball and the striker's finish. Mediama in the lead here at the Akun Park. Free kick. Let's see how they respond to that opening goal. It looks like Osakoto will be the one, and that's disappointing from Osakoto. Poorly taken. Felix Chase delivery. Header Alba in Nyabela. Here is Jonathan Soa, but he's missed it. He has a chance now, and Tijani is struggling to deal with it. He finally pounces on it. Here is Fodjo. Good defending from Kamaruddini. Is a corner taking. And Mediama have their second goal. Jonathan Soa makes it 2-0. Mediama have their third in amazing fashion. It is Jonathan Soa. Oh my word. Look at Soa. Intelligent play. He began it all. Then he waited for Fodjo. Fodjo sets him up. He turns, looks for space, and he unleashes this powerful drive. What a beauty. This is a real striker's goal. Goalkeeper was just caught ball watching.
Right, that's all we have for sports. Coming up is lifestyle. To some lifestyle news. Setapa is a traditional music dance which originates from the Bangwaketse tribe of Kenya village and surrounding areas in Botswana such as Sesong, Seluku, Lela, and Malopo, Wabasedi villages. Setapa traditional dance was started by Bangwaketse in the past, therefore is regarded as a dance for the tribe. Today on our lifestyle segment, we take a look at the Setapa dance and its history.
Involves a group of people stamping into the ground with their feet to the song played or sung by the choir or the group. The word is derived from the Chwana word go tapa tapa, which means to step into the ground continuously. Setapa troops involves an equal mix of both men and women dressed up with the skin of animals. The dance troops wear brown shells in their feet, which gives out a perfect sound as they dance, and the males usually carry on whistles and heifer horns to produce sound from the stream of air or as they blow into them. Setapa music dance exists in 3 different types, which are Setapa Sa Dipite. This is a kind of dance which is performed and produces the sound of a galloping horse in the ground. Setapa Sa Fitisi. Setapa sound is performed while the lower part of the trouser is tied with a peg or the use of short pants made of animal skin, usually referred to as shiga. This kind of influence of tying a knot in trouser using a peg was adopted from the Bakwena tribe dance known as Fatisi. Setapa Sa Go Go Ga Mauto. The kind of Bankwaketi dance is performed by dragging feet on the ground. Go Goga Muatu is a Tswana phrase which means to drag feet. The dance is adopted from the neighborhood tribe Basawa dance called Chuchubi. The cause of dance adoption in 3 types mentioned is sharing of borders between districts.
Well, this is all time will permit us for today's edition of our Midday Bulletin Pan-African News Live here on Pan-African Television. But before we go, a recap of our top stories. Former President John Dramani Mahama has told Ghanaians that he would ensure Ghana is back on the path of economic recovery if elected into office. Then also, Special Prosecutor Kisi Ejabeng has told Kenyan politicians to not use his office to settle political scores. And then we also brought you a story where a landlady has evicted over 16 tenants illegally. Thank you so much for your time. Do well to connect with us on all social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Pan-African Television. Do have a pleasant day and enjoy the rest of our programs. My name is Ashanti.